Hi, good afternoon. I'm live here with a few boomers. We're going to talk about gold, silver, cryptocurrency as a stock market, and the broader markets as well. We're going to discuss inflation and just anything that's on top of our mind. I'm Tametheark. I'm here with Richard, Bruce, Dan, Ian, and Martin. You guys want to take a moment, introduce yourself real quick?
Sure. Thanks for having us on. Martin Lamb, crypto. Been around it since 2014. I was in a few other areas of traditional finance, and somebody started talking about this thing called the blockchain, and it's like, wow. I thought this is revolutionary. It's like the telephone. It's like the internet to business. Amazing. So then I met Ian, and he said, "Hey, what about putting silver and gold, something of value onto the blockchain?" And I've been around ever since 2019. So it's been a fantastic ride. Lots of ups and downs, crypto winters, world pandemics, a few other things happening, but still around. So very interesting times coming up in 2025. I think we're best placed in the right business in the right time. So thanks for having us on.
You're welcome.
Okay, I'll go next. Richard Groom. I was in the capital markets, traditional finance for 35 years. A few years ago, focused on digital assets, and I realized why we should be focused on a decentralized finance structure as opposed to a centralized finance structure. It's much better off for everybody, except those chosen ones that are controlling everything. So I'm very happy to join the team as a partner in corporate finance and liquidity as we scale this up from its startup and initial demo stage of 14,000 people in 150 countries to all throughout Mexico, Latin America as our first and second launch points, and then globally. So very happy to be here.
Okay, I'll kick in. So I've been involved actually with gold in the 70s, the 80s, in manufacturing and importing and working with jewelry stores all over the country. And then also been involved in alternative currencies in the reciprocal trade industry for about 35 years. So I was involved with payments and alternative currencies and alternative transactions before the internet, before the blockchain, and before crypto. And then, like Richard, I joined the dark side about 7 years ago when Ian said, why don't you come to Kelowna, British Columbia and see what we're doing? And I did, and haven't turned back since then. Name's Bruce Cam, and I deal a lot with strategy, card issuing, payments, and alternative currencies.
Hello, everyone. My name's Dan Schaefers, and I'm a early founding member of LOD back 2017. Stacker 25 years, and so I was looking for a way to buy gas and groceries with my stack, and that's what attracted me to LOD. And 4 years ago, I went for a drive around with Ian, and he said, "Gee, we could use your help." So been with LOD for the last 4 years and helping out in all manner of things I can be, of help to. And so right now, currently doing investor relations and support department, tech support for Wallet, and associated that way. And very happy to be here. And thank you, Tommy, for this opportunity.
I have a question for all of you guys. But let's go with Ian. Ian, who are you?
Yeah.
Hi. Good
morning. Yeah, thanks for having us back on, Tommy. It's good to catch up with you again. It's been a few days since we left Bangkok together, where we did some lives. But I heard my name dropped a few times here by the team, and I think that's because I've been here kind of the longest with the LOD project. But having been here with the founding group of 347 that put some bars into a vault and said, let's go see if we can explore the world of blockchain and restore silver and gold to its historic prominence as money of the people, gram by gram. And so we struck up a design together. The community developed a mandate around it, and we went out and started building it. And my name is Ian Toes. I live in Western Canada. I have a background in corporate finance and investor relations consulting, which is where I first met Richard over almost 30 years ago now, in the resource sector. So my contacts and my sort of sphere of influence does have some quite deep relationships in precious metals and resources, but mainly on the corporate finance side. So I was very attracted to the idea that silver and gold could be democratized, fractionalized, tokenized, minted, whatever you want to call it, into an ecosystem that would enable people to gain access to it as money, that it would work like a medium of exchange. We all know that silver and gold are one of the oldest stores of value known to mankind, and it's kind of biblical. It goes back thousands of years, but making it a medium of exchange was the quest, and that's the mandate. And so that's what I do here with LOD. I work alongside of the steering committee and the community to steer the technology and to make sure that we are working together to make silver and gold great again, make it liquid, make it efficient, make it affordable and accessible anywhere to anyone at any time worldwide.
Thank you, Ian. Yeah, I was going to say that you're the one we did a video interview with, and you had a lot of opinions to share with us about gold and about LOD before. My question for all you guys, just shout out a number. What's your short-term price target for gold?
3,000.
I would say the same.
3,000.
31.50.
31.50 for Martin.
All right,
What's your
32.
definition? Tommy, what's your definition of short term?
Within the next
0 to
2 to
12
3
months?
months.
Oh, 2 to 3
Hmm.
months. So
So,
Reminder, Trump will be in
28, I would
office.
say 28.
I'd say 2,800 US.
SHB. SHB.
I think, you see, coming from TradFi, and that's very interesting what Richard just said. Now, I know what you see. Short term, when I started in finance, was 5 years. Medium term was 15 years. Long term was 30-year bond, right? That's what it was. 5,
Yeah.
50, and 30. Now, short term is, people say, what do you mean, by the end of the day or by the end of the week? When it's like, it's a different, we have to get, it's good that we clarify these things because it has changed a lot.
Yeah, I agree with 2,800 short term and probably 3,000 by the end of the year, maybe even 3,500.
3,500. Okay, so
You
I
realize we're in January. You mean the end of this year? We're not in 2024.
we're in
Yeah,
2025.
no, at the end of 2025, by December 2025.
So you guys been
And
along.
3,500.
You've been here a lot longer than I have. I think within the next year we'll probably be above $7,000 per ounce, and it sounds very radical, but with the wildfires in California and the potential for reducing capital gains tax, I think it will make more money for liquidity for trading gold, and that will increase the gold price. And I'll show you a few charts. I'll put this up on YouTube for people to see just real quick. We see like these cryptos like BNB, Solana, Litecoin, Cardano. These are all coins related to a network, and they generally go up and to the right as we get more cash and liquidity injected into the system.
Mm-hmm.
But if I go over here and in my trading view, I have this chart that shows gold is starting to flip Bitcoin. And if gold is starting to flip Bitcoin, it means one of two things. Either A, gold is gaining a lot more value, or B, Bitcoin is coming down in price. And when you add in the third ingredient, inflation. So if Bitcoin's coming down in price and inflation is still going up, then gold both appreciates in value and will go up parabolic compared to Bitcoin if there's a significant drop in Bitcoin here. So we're at a top on Bitcoin, so a lot of capital may be rushing out of the crypto markets, which is a lot lower liquidity and trading volume than gold, but that is still a significant amount of money that could be rushing out of futures, crypto stocks, Bitcoin, mining equipment that could go into gold or silver if people want to protect their assets against inflation. And currently, the price of gold per ounce right now on this TradingView chart is about 2,715. This daily chart is a beast, up and to the right. I'm going to do something interesting here. I'm going to ask Rock to analyze this chart for me.
Tommy, I would also add, there's something that we're not necessarily looking or thinking about, and that is the fractionalization of gold and silver and making it more liquid and having it delivered in 3 seconds digitally. As that distribution network matures over the next 24 to 36 months, what happens when you fractionalize and democratize an asset is usually the asset increases in demand. There's an increase in demand anywhere from 10x to 1,000x. And there's countless examples of this. You cannot increase the production of gold and silver by 10x. It's totally impossible. So what's going to happen is you're going to see as we expand globally and as other gold coins and tokens expand globally, there's going to be a substantial increase in the demand. And if the supply cannot keep track of the demand, which I don't think it will be able to, because historically gold and silver production increase 1 to 2 to 3 to 4% max.
Okay, Richard, you've got 30 years experience in this. If you read about a new discovery of gold, how long does it take from that discovery to bring it out of the ground?
Depends on the country, but anywhere minimum 10 years up to 20 years plus.
Even if it's a country that's not regulated like Canada, even if it's El Salvador or China, it still takes how long?
It really depends on the government and the attitude of the government. If it's an anti-mining government like Mexico is right now, but you know there is some temperance on the Mexican side now to favor mining. But if it's a very anti-government, it could take 20 years. Or you need a change in government.
China could run roughshod. Chinese, they're going to get it rushed through, but it's still just the sheer mechanics of it would be 3 to 5 years.
3 to 5 years, or I don't think I've ever seen a gold company get into production in 3 years, but definitely 5, maybe 10. But in most Western economies, it's 10 to 15, 17.
Right.
I think this wildfire that happened in California is they're going to push for more environmental regulation too, which may make it harder for companies to actually mine the gold. I don't know if they're going to start that in California, but I know other countries are pushing for more regulations to protect their environments.
It's impossible to do gold in Arizona, New Mexico, California. It's like, wow, that's a 20 to 50 year program, if ever. There's no new mines there. Nothing. That's really tough.
So coming back, Tommy, to the fractionalization, instead, right now, the gold and silver is largely available, excluding jewelry, to the 1%. So the elite, 8 billion people, that's 80 million people. Out of those 80 million, maybe there's only 40 that are buying gold and silver because it's clunky, it's difficult to store, it costs money to store. It's complicated on the insurance side in some areas. So if you make that available to 7.4 billion people that have smartphones and they can buy it in less than 3 seconds, the demand dynamics will change dramatically. And if there's a finite production, what happens? The price goes up. So stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. This is a very exciting time. And if, as and when the world has digital gold that can settle anywhere, anytime, at any amount, you're going to see an increase in demand because the governments are rocking and rolling all over the world. inflation, as you mentioned, Tommy, is out of control in many countries, and it's high in a lot of countries, and that just feeds the price and the demand for gold.
Yeah, absolutely. The currency depreciation in so many countries is also going to push the price of gold higher.
You don't
So
want to own fiat currencies. You want to own gold and silver.
That's
What do you
right.
make if you have demand? So gold demand in 2023 was what was it, 4,900 tons, and the production in 2023 was between 25 and 3,000. I mean, those two numbers alone. What's the spread on that percentage-wise? 14%.
I think debt's a big factor too. You know, we have to factor in the amount of debt, and so that could drive the price up.
Yeah, the debt will also impact inflation because over time, Americans, if they do get rid of the capital gains tax in America but put a consumerism tax, I think we're going to see even more inflation prices because in America, if our beef and chicken prices get another big tax on that for consumerism, then the dollar is essentially worth less money. And then gold, because less capital gains taxes, goes up in value because people can buy and sell it as like free money, like in the Constitution.
Yeah, you're gonna see a wheel back on collectives on food production and that, which artificially increase the price as well. So it'll offset. Remember, you're putting more money. You're putting between 30 and 40% more money in your pocket by getting rid of the IRS. To put that into place, you can still have a consumer tax of 20 to 21%. Get rid of the collectives and get. I mean, you go and buy a cow. It's a damn sight cheaper than buying a loin of beef in Costco. I mean, go and buy the whole bloody cow from the farmer. Well, when it goes from the farmer into a collective and then to the supermarket, there's a middleman making a hell of a lot of money. The collective as well. So it swings and roundabouts.
You know, Tommy, we did an analysis of the retail price of gold and silver in about 50 cities last year, and we'll update that report. The premiums to spot varied anywhere from 3% all the way up to 60 to 70%. It was shocking. So, Ian, what's our average premium to spot that we charge our clients in and out?
I believe it's about 7.
Max 7%.
Well, it's seven on the spread, and then on a redemption it would be -3 under spot. So you could say the round trip would be about 10%, which is, according to your report, quite cheap.
Yeah.
Worldwide, very efficient.
And we cover the storage and we cover the insurance.
Oh, that's
It
another
doesn't
thing.
get better than that.
It's very difficult for people to store gold compared to storing crypto. I could have crypto on a ledger and travel from country to country. If I wanted to take some gold bars from America to Dubai, I might get stopped at the airport. That might get confiscated.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
There's a reason that you've got that display behind you, because that's what you're going to need if you've got gold.
The value of 1 pound of gold is tremendous. It's more than the maximum dollar value you're supposed to be
The
able
way
to
you rock
travel
and roll,
with.
the way you rock and roll, Tommy, you need a couple of kilos at least for the weekend. That's like what, 140, 50,000 bucks. I mean, 2 kilos. You know you've got 2 kilos in your pocket.
Yeah.
But hey, you can. I mean, most cases now, international suitcase is 32 kilos. That's a lot of money you can wheel around and check into a flight. The problem is, once they look at it and you arrive in Dubai, say, and you ain't got any paperwork for it, you're going to jail and you've got to explain it. You have to pre-tell them before you get on the flight to Dubai that you're bringing in 32 kilos. They're going to tax you before you even arrive. If you show up with the gold, I think that's a criminal offense now, isn't it, Ian? If you show up with the gold with no docs,
Yeah.
you're looking at.
You have to have the docs, otherwise they will arrest you. Yeah.
You can't just have the docs on you. You've got to pre-send them. So it's getting harder. That was never the case 5 years ago. You could wheel up with 3 or 4 suitcases full. The world's changing. I mean, you just can't move values around. It's nice to have a trader in your pocket where you can do it.
Has any of you got
So-
have any of you ever flown with gold?
Yeah.
Yep. A little bit of gold, little silver. Yeah.
Teeth there.
Not too much. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you can. I mean, but you know, airports are not all the same. I mean, for example, you find to some Central American countries, you collect your bags, you go through customs, you get your passport stamp, you collect your bags, and the final thing you have to do is go through a machine with your luggage, not the hand luggage, the check luggage, and they look at everything in the luggage, and they start pulling that apart, and you haven't put it on the documentation. You're held, it's gone, and you ain't in Kansas, Dorothy, I'll tell you that much. I mean, you could be in there for days.
Yeah.
So, so that's a good argument for digital gold, for instance, like on your wallet or on your phone. You just delete the app, you've memorized your 12 words, you cross the border, you get into the country, you just restore your wallet, and there you go, you know?
You could be left stripped naked as long as you got somebody you can borrow a phone from, and you set the wallet up on the phone, constitute your wallet back with your 12 words that you remembered, and you pay for the guy who was giving you the phone, pay him, get some clothes from him, and go to the store, and you're back on track right away.
Pretty well.
Everything back. It's pretty difficult. You can do that with Visa and MasterCard. You can be everybody's seen the movies where they want to mess with you, strip all it away, shut everything down, your bank's frozen up. Oh, sorry, you could live in Canada under Justin Trudeau and get the same treatment, have your bank account frozen, everything.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Just for donating to something.
Yeah, 1 minute it's legal, next minute it's illegal. So it's a tough one.
Yeah, that may be one reason that Justin Trudeau is stepping down, because people did not like how he handled the truckers' protest and used the government's power to freeze bank accounts for people that wanted to donate. When it comes to like trading, have you guys done a lot of trading for gold commodities in the past?
Traditional trading. I'm sure. I think Richard's the most experienced. And
I've done trading on basically everything, Tommy. And what's very interesting about gold and silver is as it becomes more digitally friendly to everybody, and you have instantaneous settlement, it becomes much less clunky. I mean, even Credit Suisse stopped their trading desk from buying gold and silver anymore because it was too difficult to manage on the settlement side of things. So if you have instantaneous settlement on gold and silver, watch out. I can see the demand curve increasing substantively. And with that, so will the price. I've run some numbers on if we have X number of users as we scale up in Mexico and Latin America, which is going to be one of our first targets. There could be many others with our new social media team. So if we get an average person, let's say if they buy $12.50 a month, not a day, a month of gold and silver, so $25. If we have 50 million users, we'll need about 2.8 million ounces of gold and 250 million ounces of silver based on the spot prices of last week. So that gives me 2.5% of the annual production of gold in 2024. And on the silver side, it gives me 29.8%. So with just 50 million users, right? Just 50. We're going to need 28% of the global supply of silver, and silver in 2025 add another 1 or 2%. So say we're going to need 27 or 28%. What do you think is going to happen to the price? There's only one way to go.
The more I think. I mean, that's Richard's area to think in these bigger pictures. But I talk to people in retail, and I talk about them trying to put money to buy a house, to save a house. They're going backwards. They're going backwards.
Yeah.
They just, I mean, in the UK, they're just going backwards. I mean, even if they're investing,
All over the world.
they're making a 9% on a portfolio. They're making 9% on a currency that's going down by 15%. So do the math on that. They're going nowhere. Richard's department, Richard's and graphs with multiple currencies against silver and gold. You just can't compare.
You never
Richard?
want
some of the
to save-
uptick of holding gold over the last 5 years.
You know, in my 35 years in the stock and investment banking world, no one ever netted out inflation because it wasn't a big deal back then, right? Now it's a big deal. Like, you know, you go to the grocery store and you buy a piece of Parmesan cheese that's the size of my phone, and it's gone from $6 to 20, 21, $22. It makes no sense what's going on.
Yeah.
And this is what's happened in many countries around the world. Look at Turkey as an example. The inflation rate in Turkey is off the charts, and many other countries. So we did a analysis, Tommy, of the failed and failing states, and we looked at all of the countries around the world that have serious problems, whether they be currency devaluations, corruption, war, and massive inflation. And just those countries, it's almost 800 million people. And I didn't put Canada in there or the United States yet. They're not in that basket, but it's quite serious. And so if we can get, our mission is if we can get the digital gold and silver to those 800 million people that need help, like Venezuela, Venezuela is a complete and utter disaster, except if you're part of the 1% elite. The rest of the population, the middle class, are eating out of garbage cans right now. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And there's only one reason. You guys can guess what the reason is. So these people need an alternative to a fiat currency. And the digital gold and silver is absolutely perfect.
And we're using CPI rates that are calculated in today's matrix, which is absolutely nonsense, because what Richard said is we do actually buy Parmesan cheese once a month. You don't buy some of the items that have been put into CPI.
Yeah.
How many fridge freezers do you buy a month? I mean, they're in there. Fridge freezers, they're stable price. So that brings the whole average price down.
Exactly.
In 1985, if you calculated it at 1985, now that for some people, that's a life, that's 2 lifetimes ago. But for me and Richard, well, most of the guys in this call, except for you, Tom, it's not a long time ago. You calculated that inflation would still be running in the 20s, about 18 to 23%. It's ridiculous. I mean, just look at, now something that everybody can understand is go to Amazon Fresh. If you had an account at Amazon Fresh 2 years ago, go to the past, go to a 2022 order, do repeat order. That's the same item, same goods, repeat order. See the price in 2022 for that list of items and see what the list is now. It's absolutely blow you away. I've seen examples of $147 basket going up to, cart. I know they call it cart in Canada because they shop big. It goes from $147 to $420. The same items. That's real inflation.
I can argue, Tommy, that just in Canada, the food inflation is like 30 to 50% per year.
Yeah.
For the past 2 or 3, 4 years. My wife won't buy half the stuff she used to buy because she's shocked at the prices.
Yeah.
I went to
That's
Canada.
why you need a
It was
hedge.
over $18 for a bottle of orange juice. 18 Canadian, which is high.
There's no oranges. They don't grow oranges in Canada. It's too cold, mate.
The Tropicana plant is about 3 miles down the road.
And Tommy, there's one other really good point that we haven't discussed yet. There was a very good interview with Frank Justra the other day that Ian circulated, and it was all about the BIS, the Bank of International Settlements in Switzerland, and the fact that when gold becomes more liquid in terms of settlement, and we can settle in less than 6 or 7 hours, or 3 or 4 seconds, or 10 seconds, as that transpires, the banks can use gold as the BIS changes their policy on reserves and percentages of what they can call an official reserve versus a non-bankable reserve. And gold right now is classified at maybe 5% marginability by the banks. And as gold becomes more liquid, the central banks and the BIS may change, and probably will change, their classification from, let's say, an illiquid asset to a highly liquid asset, and assign a margin rate of, instead of 5% or 0, it could go to 80, 90, or 100%. That's another major macro change in the making in the next 12 to 24 months.
That's even better than equities, the margin on equities.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, and that will likely happen because many countries are pushing for it. And unfortunately, Canada, apparently, I checked the other day, has 0 gold in our central bank.
Yeah.
I don't understand that, Ian. You
I don't
understand
either.
that?
One of the biggest producers of gold in the world. They have no gold.
Makes no sense.
Ridiculous.
So I have a question for you guys, since you're talking about macro and long term. Starting from today, let's say Bitcoin's at 99,000. Let's say gold is at 2,700 per ounce. Long term, like in the next 10 years, which one do you think will still be more valuable?
Percentage
Well,
wise,
Market cap wise, which one do you think will have the highest market cap in 2035? Gold or Bitcoin?
That's an interesting question, Tommy. I would answer that question saying that it depends on if there is a quantum hack. Because quantum computing is, we are entering the era, we're in the era of quantum computing. And what we don't know is how far advanced the Chinese are. We know they're spending 2 to 5 times what we're spending in North America and the EU. And if they hack Bitcoin, if Bitcoin could be hackable by a quantum computer, all bets are off. However, if LOD gets hacked, they can't hack our vaults. If our gold and silver are 100% backed and they're physically in the vaults with whatever partnership we have in the vaulting business, yes, they may be able to hack our electronic system and, you know, erase everything, but we do backups, you know, every hour on the hour. We'll know everyone who has, or most people that have our digital gold and silver, but they can't hack the vaults. So our clients should be okay. And therefore, I think gold, with the exception of a quantum hack, should do very well compared to Bitcoin. However, the alternative argument is, if Bitcoin becomes the reserve currency, a reserve currency for many countries and states, which is, they're all talking about that now. Donald Trump was talking about it the other day. You're going to see a massive run on Bitcoin in the next 24 to 36 months.
I think it's a diversification of any portfolio. It's like, what does a portfolio look like at 25 years old? What does a portfolio a 25-year-old? Or what does a portfolio look like if you're 60? You know, it's different, right? So
yeah,
there's a reason to have both of them. One of the great reasons was, well, I like real estate because I can see it and touch it. Well, okay, there was some really great real estate that had really high values in where? Malibu, in California, all over. There's potential problems with all assets, you know, like as in the asset of Bitcoin, as Richard pointed out on quantum computing. Is it there? Where's it at? It's an unknown. But I think it's a balanced portfolio approach. I mean, there's a reason for both, right? To have both.
So
I agree.
From my understanding, I think the government is legally allowed to buy Bitcoin for a reserve, but not as a reserve for a currency or to make it a currency. I think the U.S. Constitution says gold and silver can be used as currencies, but there's no
Legal tender.
Yeah, for legal tender. I didn't see anywhere in there about Bitcoin as legal tender in the U.S. Constitution. So they may have to make some amendments and everything as well if they really want to use Bitcoin as legal tender and tax it as legal tender rather than a commodity.
Okay.
But it's clearly stated that it is a commodity. The CFTC see it as a commodity. We've dealt with ex-directors or board members of the CFTC in the legal community, and they clearly state, and we've got not legal opinions on it. We have legal memos on it stating that it is a commodity, and what LOD token is a commodity. What the AGX and AUX are commodities. It's commodity money.
Mm-hmm.
So Tommy, just to expand a bit on this, just some thoughts that are kind of out there. What if the US dollar was to be backed by gold? Okay. And 2/3 of the world is US dollars. And now it's backed by gold. And now, of course, China and Russia be part of that. And what if they were to be able to settle gold with Bitcoin, as an example? Just because that's 10 years away now, you're talking, right? That's a lifetime. A lot can happen in 1 year, 5 years. So just kind of throwing that out there, that now, we're settling in gold, and also, like, there's countries that are going to want to be able to handle US dollars and gold, and that's possibly where the LOD wallet comes in, and AUX, settling in AUX, for example. So there's all kinds of interesting possibilities around that, and just kind of throwing that out there.
Yeah, people love to call Bitcoin digital gold, but I haven't seen it processing gold. People not really transferring gold or settling in gold on there. And I think as technology gets better, there are going to be better networks out there. For your crypto, you guys are on Avalanche, right?
That's right. Yeah.
So as years go on, there's always new blockchains that are faster, more secure, more adaptable with smart contracts. So I think as time goes on, Bitcoin will probably still maintain some value, but the utility of other cryptos will surpass Bitcoin. And as we get the quantum computer, the risk of the hacks, you'll probably get some quantum resistant blockchains coming out as well. Security measures, more like two-factor authentication, but two-factor authentication can be hacked. So they're going to go like a little bit deeper for the security of people's assets, and
they're working on
it. Let's get back to these state players, BRICS, talking about gold-backed currency. I mean, who verifies that? Now, with a private system, there's a redemption aspect. You're not going to go knocking on the door in Moscow or Shanghai asking for your gold, because they're going to tell you to piss off. They're going to say, listen, you can either believe us, and the US will do the same.
Take renminbi.
Where does it stop? There's all the gold in Fort Knox. Yeah, sure. It's a nice building. I mean, what's in it? We don't know. I mean, what's in Moscow? What's in Shanghai? Beijing, Shanghai. Where does it go? I feel a lot safer if it's a private organization that says it's backed and it's verified and CPA'd and it's attested to. And when I want to redeem it, I redeem it. I mean, am I going to redeem gold back to a BRICS-backed currency that's backed by gold? Can I get the gold for it, please? And I don't think the answer is going to be the one I like.
And Tommy, the other really important thing is that the governments around the world have, for the most part, they have massive deficits. They're spending way too much money.
Mm-hmm.
They're traditionally deficit financing is meaning they're printing money, they're issuing bonds, they're issuing IOUs, and deficit financing equals big inflation. It's a very simple equation. Big inflation gives me pressure on the upside for gold, right? So that's point number one. Point number two is the more the government's tax, if you just take Canada as an example, the Liberal government, they're not liberal, right? The tax measures they put in the last budget
socialist
are literally out of control.
But they're liberal spending your money.
And our forecasted budget deficit was 40 billion and they came in at 60. And the Minister of Finance may run for Prime Minister. So go figure that one. But my point is that the governments across the board, with a few exceptions, are spending out of control. And what does that mean? That means people are fed up with taxes, right? And there are revolts and revolutions all over the place. And if you can't feed your family because everything is too expensive, at one point in time, you're going to get angry, and you're going to get very angry. So what's happening now is gold is, and so is silver to a lesser extent, a safe haven.
Yeah.
And as the political macro situation deteriorates in most countries, not all, the sanctions they put on Russia, Russia has one of the strongest balance sheets in the entire world right now. So as the geopolitical situation heats up, And there's more controversy in more countries, and just take a look at Greenland and Canada, the 51st state, and all the stuff that's going on. Gold is a good place to be, and so is silver. You know,
Absolutely.
I've
And the fact
heard
that you-
Greenland has a lot of gold. Have you heard of
they
that?
do.
Yeah, wouldn't
They do.
surprise me. Same as Canada,
Yeah.
Northern Shield.
And oil.
It's the same geological formation, Tom.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Got oil, gas, gold, and
and
a lot
that's
of
where they're going to start mining it once they acquire it, because they don't need it in America.
And
Yeah,
Tommy, the
Trump
best thing
wants
about it,
to
one of the
acquire it.
resources. Sorry, Tom. Bruce, carry on.
No, I was just saying that's why Trump wants to acquire Greenland, because of all the gold.
Yeah.
And
If you-
and then he's going to tokenize it so it's in the phone on your phone in your pocket.
Tommy, I know you. I know you don't drink alcohol, but there's a company that actually goes down a kilometer or more into Greenland's ice and brings out ice cubes that have got no. They're completely pure ice cubes. They've got no pollution in them. It's pre-industrial ice cubes. They're really worth every penny. It really makes the martini taste good. That's the first resort. Strip the ice and then get to the gold and oil.
We have another question from the YouTube audience out there. They said, do you believe that the USA can annex Canada?
It's a lot of
Well,
Canadians on
might
this
be
board.
able to annex the country of Canada, but not the provinces.
Good answer.
Yeah.
Daniel's
Certainly
right
not
about that.
Danielle Smith.
The provinces are sovereign in the world, so they actually have the strongest law. That's why Danielle Smith was at Mar-a-Lago last week. She told the feds to get lost, and then she just enacted this is the first sovereignty act in Canada, and all the resources and oil and minerals belong to the province and to the people, and that's how Canada actually is structured. The feds have no jurisdiction. They're just
That's the Canadian feds you're talking.
Canadian feds, have no jurisdiction over the provinces. So it'll be an interesting thing, because yesterday there was an announcement by Danielle Smith, and she said that she met with the other provincial premiers, and they are aligned to how to respond to the potential for tariffs, and they're going to work with Donald Trump. They're not going to do what the feds are going to do, which is to try to bully the situation. So I don't know. Yeah, there's really two camps, but the provinces, I believe, will win.
Oh, that's good.
And
then. That's some good insight.
Danielle Smith is the premier of Alberta, which
Right.
is super, for an American and international audience, super wealthy in resources, right? And I mean, massive amounts of oil suspended in sand, and it's just it's a geological playground, and a massive land area as well.
Supply till 2050, 500 million barrels a year or something. That's crazy. There's the amount of oil that's in Alberta. It's sitting on surface too.
Yeah.
It's just sitting on the surface of the ground.
And previous administrations in the US, there's a reason why it's right next door, but you only get the resource. I don't think this is going to be the same under Trump, but previous administrations, it's better to go 10,000 miles and have a war and get the resource, and you get the benefit of the war for Raytheon, Boeing, Lockheed Martin. So it's a double banger. We get the oil and the gas, and we also get a high stock, and we're selling weapons. It's a big industry. It's a huge industry. 38 states are involved in that. You go to any air show in Europe, there's a booth for 38 US states. It's a big business conflict.
Let's dive back into crypto a little bit. Are you guys familiar with meme coins in the crypto space?
Yes, I had a little lecture on one. Somebody sent me an Instagram and showed me how to set one up in about 5 minutes and trade the shit up of it for an hour and then get out of it. So I'm going to do a little piece for our community on the difference between what we do and what a meme coin is. But yeah, it's interesting stuff.
So,
I know you know lots of it, Tommy.
Yeah, there's something called Unicorn Fart Dust by Ron's Basement. He's the YouTuber that talked about gold and silver predominantly. Did any of you guys buy unicorn fart dust?
No,
Yes,
not
A
me.
little bit, yeah.
So
Why
Yeah.
not?
I had some young fella tell me to buy some, and I ended up getting a Phantom wallet. And I really liked a young, good-looking fella that I met on a Bitcoin event. So yeah, pretty
A
good.
Bitcoin event?
Yeah.
Well, no, not a Bitcoin event, a Ethereum event. I'm sorry.
Was it Vitalik?
Yeah.
Did you meet
Oh,
Vitalik there?
Yeah, I brushed past him as he was being rushed by 12 security guards to use the washroom. I think
No, he only has
they,
one security guard.
Oh yeah, one security guy. Yeah, he was in the washroom, wasn't he, with the security guy? It was funny. Yeah. That was good. It was cool. Yeah, he speaks very well. I mean, wow, it's so brilliant. But it was really nice to see him live on stage. That was great.
Yeah, it was neat to see him live. That was at the DuneCon, right?
Yeah, DoomCon.
Yeah.
Bangkok. Yeah.
I think Tommy ran into him at another location.
Well, that was. I mean, if you calculate 12,534 people in a city, I mean that's a lot of people at one event. I mean, multiple
Mhm.
events, but that's just a lot of people at an event, right? Like that. Yeah, it's impressive.
Yeah, super cool.
Hey, Tommy, I do have a scheduled call at the top of the hour. I don't know how long you planning your soiree.
No, we can talk a little bit longer. I know you guys have 5 more minutes, probably. Some of you might have a little bit longer. For people out there, maybe this week, the day that Trump comes into office, that's roughly about a week away. What do you think happens to the gold price within the first week that Trump's in office?
It's gonna go up.
Oh man.
That's a good question.
I mean, I don't forecast the gold price by week. Come on.
I don't know.
2,823.
Could be, but he's also saying that, he might make XRP or SOL the backing rather than gold. So we'll see.
Yeah.
You've been on Instagram too much.
Yeah.
You're on mute.
And so the SRP price, we noticed recently just started running. And yeah, the SRP price was running a lot lately.
30% next week.
Yep. So what I noticed about SRP, it's the only one on my chart lately that ignored my sell signal red block because it ran up even another over another 10% from there. It went almost 11%. So SRP is that one that's defying the markets over here. So yeah, there is talk about the Trump administration using XRP because it is a fast blockchain, and XRP already has a lot of cash as well.
I've got a quick question, Tommy, because I've got to run, but I wanted to get your thoughts. What do you feel about specialized networks? Networks for network, networks that are subnets and specializing in assets.
So the layer 2 networks, they have been very successful. I've seen Polygon do very well. That's the layer 2 off of Ethereum. I've seen a few layer 2s fail though, because the layer 1 would end up having a technological upgrade that made it better than what the layer 2 was supposed to do. I've also seen forks fail in the past, but if a layer 2 constantly innovate, constantly updates, they should outperform the layer 1s. And they can bypass some limitations that the layer 1 has, which is usually scalability or the gas fees.
So something like Avalanche's 9,000 initiative, you see that is something of the 2025 thing that's going to be the hot thing moving forward, specialization in networks.
I think specialization in networks is going to be good for capturing a specific audience, and moving forward, it could be the new hot thing. Solana is already known for the meme coins.
Right.
Dogecoin was known for what Elon Musk was doing. Nobody really used Dogecoin though for transacting or for money. It's like a novelty. And then you had Ethereum. Ethereum was really good a while back for deploying your whole ecosystem. And then Cardano as well, good for deploying ecosystems. So moving forward, I think specialized networks is going to be the way.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
We're-
speak to your audience, right? Provide all the tools that they need to be successful and to gain access and gain greater efficiency and gain price discovery. And, in the case of real world assets, have the assurance through transparency protocols like proof of reserves, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, is all stuff that's important to ecosystem developments, especially around precious metals and real world assets. And so the idea that a subnet could be constructed based on the foundation of something like an avalanche, which has been proven to be secure, has a very, very high uptime, very, very affordable, near instant settlement. So it's got a lot of the tools. And then if you step into the ring of DeFi for just a few seconds, then you've got all sorts of ways to construct decentralized yield. You can work with liquidity around DEXs and OTC, Dutch auction style stuff, and then you can, get yourself up and running on CEXs as well. And so I think it is very interesting time. Groups like LOD that are a community that are enthusiastic about restoring silver to the monetary system and providing on-ramps, off-ramps, settlement tools, tap to terminal, card infrastructure, lending, borrowing, yield, and it goes on and on and on. And plus earning rewards for staking. This is where ecosystems can start to come to life and service an industry like precious metals. And that's, I think, where LOD has got its focus.
Yep.
Yeah, the on-ramp,
Yeah.
off-ramp. That's the big money maker in crypto. There's not enough on-ramp and off-ramp. So if you can
Yeah.
figure that out
Yeah.
and make mass adoption for the on-ramp, off-ramp.
Richard's
that's a
got
lot
the
of money.
numbers on, Richard has the numbers on daily transactions in gold.
Yeah, 61 trillion in 2023. The
Annual
latest number.
transactions in gold.
61 trillion of gold and silver transactions.
Over
So
top.
if we get 0.01%, we have a $6 billion top line revenue line. 0.01.
0.01% of that
Point-
market. Yeah. 61 trillion. Gold is a monster. You can have gold liquidity in less than 10 minutes. The check or the wire transfer is happening. Like the pool for liquidity around gold and silver is massive. Massive. It is money.
Yeah.
It's just not efficient in its physical form. And no one knows how to take it at the merchant level. So the use case for precious metals is strong. Plus, because they're commodities, they come with a profit structure. So if you can acquire them under spot, you can bank the whole system based just on the spreads in the spot market.
And
And
then the
it's very
liquidity,
powerful.
then the liquidity comes once you have the G3 Visa card, which is smart contract powered, zero balance card. You don't have to pre-fund it. You don't have to sell your metals until you're actually buying something. And the liquidity aspect of that is to be able to use AGX or AUX to pay any merchant anywhere in the world on a Visa card.
Long term, like within the next 2 to 3 years, do you think silver will increase in value at a faster percent than gold?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
100%. 100%.
Tommy, I'm really sorry. It was my meeting. I've got some guys waiting there. I need to conduct it. So thanks ever so much for
Hi, Martin.
having me
Hey,
on.
Martin.
You guys.
Yeah.
Thanks, Martin.
everyone.
Have a good day.
Thank you. And you.
Anybody else have any more comments or things they would like to say about the markets?
The only thing I'll say, Tommy, is we are at a very amazing crossroads that we haven't been at for many, many years. There's all sorts of variables, and the biggest positive of everything that's going on is that gold and silver tend to react very positively with uncertainty. And you add in the whole liquidity issue that Ian was just talking about, and the issue of instantaneous settlements instead of you know, I sold some stock in a old stock the other day, and my broker says it'll take 3 to 5 days to get payment. Well, I'm getting spoiled with crypto now. I can get instantaneous payment, like
Mhm.
in 1 second, as soon as I
Mhm.
receive it.
With no intermediary.
So it's all about, you know, traditional finance versus decentralized finance. And decentralized finance favors the individual person, like us. Centralized finance favors the elite and the banks.
Mhm.
And one of the reasons why the traditional banks don't like crypto is that the moment we take $1 million out of the bank, they got to find 10 million of capital to replace it, minimum. So it's basically it's a game of tug of war
Tug of
right
war.
now,
Yeah.
with the decentralized people versus the centralized people, and that's what's going on right now. And gold is right in the middle, and silver. So, and as I showed you the numbers, and we're happy to, you know, talk about these numbers. As we scale this in countries and we have B2B partnerships, whether they be neobanks, whether they be retailers, and we gain millions of users, the demand for the product will do nothing but go up. So that's my.
Tommy, does your audience understand what LOD protocol and the flywheel of its operations is? And have you been chatting with them along the way here? Or LOD is quite a unique apparatus. It's like a flywheel for decentralized finance in gold and silver, and no one owns it. So it's making its way into the universe and trying to be as decentralized at as many points as it can be. You know, having the core of the protocol, you know, based and backed in physical silver and physical gold. But there's some very exciting things happening at LOD that'll take place in the next couple of quarters that will advance its aspirations towards the network level that we were talking about. And so there's never been a better time to think about stacking up some LOD tokens. Do you want to give a little pitch on where to buy them, or
Oh
if
yeah.
anyone's interested?
But before we go there, I just want to say that on the short term, I do have some red blots rolling in here for BNB, Solana, Cardano, Litecoin, along with Bitcoin, Ethereum, Doge, and XRP. I think, oh wow, XRP already started bleeding down quite fast. I do think markets are topping out in the short term for Bitcoin. So if you guys are looking for an alternative to Bitcoin and you want to try to hedge against inflation, you might want to consider tokenized silver or tokenized gold. You guys, what's your website? Let's see.
LOD3.fi.
LOD3.fi.
Yeah.
So your website, load website. You have these 3 tokens: the LOD token. You also have the
AGX.
AGX.
AGX is for silver and AUX is for gold.
And I asked you earlier, do you think silver would go up more long term than gold? A majority of you guys said yes. So if someone wanted to buy tokenized silver, you already have a buy button on your website. This will take you to Trader Joe website. Liquidity, your liquidity is in USDC, right? So you would change AVAX to USDC.
Okay.
And so $100 would be about 96 AGX. Okay, so 1 AGX is almost $1. Let's see, do they have the chart up here? Yes. So
You can also just use AVAX inside the wallet and just do a swap. They can do the same with USDC.
So I saw silver has been coming down, but also it's not on this chart, but silver did a squeeze before when GameStop was squeezing. The Wall Street guys that were shorting GameStop started pumping silver and some silver stocks to distract traders. It did work a little bit, but I see this daily chart has now been bouncing from January. So
See,
from
Tommy,
January, silver
my
has been
recommendation,
going up.
my recommendation would be just to earmark, you know, X dollars a month, whether it be 50, 100, 500, whatever, and just pick up
away.
some on a regular basis and add to
Yeah.
your position. And that's rainy day money. That's money that should be just put away for a rainy day and kept there and let it appreciate. Don't worry about the short-term fluctuations. It's a commodity. It will fluctuate 1%, 2%, 3%, and sometimes 5%. But just put it away on a regular basis and average up and average down if it's appropriate.
Yeah, last year, the AGX coin, which is 1 gram of physical vaulted insured silver, was about 70 cents, and today it's about $1. So it's gone up 30.
30.
Mhm.
Yeah, I saw
30,
silver
yeah.
has been spiking this year
Mm-hmm.
after the dips. I see your AUX coin. It's up from like the lows in November. It's up currently right now over 9%, which that's pretty good. As long as the gold is outpacing inflation, it is doing its job of protecting your wealth. But I do believe there's going to be a
Exactly.
time where
Right.
it doesn't only just protect against inflation. I think it's going to go parabolic. There's going to be a supply shock eventually.
Yeah.
Yep.
There will
Yep.
be. Yeah. So if you're long-term,
Silver's up 30% since late
Yeah.
last year.
Yeah, so you guys have the 3 tokens, your own wheats. I know your load is on wheats. Hopefully, in the future, you get your tokenized gold and tokenized silver on other platforms, so it's easier for people to do those swaps and exchanges. For people out there trading, I don't think a lot of crypto guys are in gold or silver, so having a tokenized gold, tokenized silver may be that bridge that the world needs to get more traders before the Bitcoin price crumbles. I think Bitcoin is going to come down to under 40K by the time all the big wells are done selling, and that's will drop the price tremendously. Right now, we're just a little bit above 100,000, just a little bit above 100,000. So on this chart here, I show the audience like we are just right there. Have the red bloods come in, but if Bitcoin goes to 40,000, is big. And the U.S. government, they have over $6 billion worth of Bitcoin that they have authority to sell.
Tommy, don't forget the Chinese. The Chinese have a big Bitcoin position also.
Mhm.
Don't forget that.
Yep,
They have
Chinese.
like a little less than 1%.
yeah.
So for all you guys, are you guys holding your tokenized gold and silver until like certain price points, or you? Since you're older, not trying to offend you, since you're older, do you plan on passing it down to your children or some other younger people?
The
No, I'm gonna-
idea. Sorry, everyone has their own story.
Go ahead.
I'll just say that the idea of the platform is that, silver has been the money of people for thousands of years. It is money, even in some of the oldest books known to man, like the Bible, for instance, or the Quran. Silver is money. Gold is the store of wealth. And so we have both because the world is really sort of split down the middle. Africa and Southeast Asia and China, they love gold as money. And the rest of the world, you think of Argentina, Argentum, their money was silver, the British pound, sterling, 925 silver, actually backed the US silver certificates. Back in the day, Canadian dollars, silver dollars was a big deal. The rupee was silver. And so we have both at LOD and at the protocol level. And so everyone can apply their own rationale, but I think that silver, because of the way that it's priced, is easier for people to get their head around as money, spending it as money, or fighting inflation or resisting inflation. The independence that comes with this as well, you pointed this out earlier, the freedom that comes with unbanking yourself. That's really at the center of what the LOD protocol is after, is to help people unbank themselves so they can make decisions. Like Dan wants to speak here, so I'll zip it there. But
That's okay. Well, you know what? Gold and silver are assets that are always in play, especially now. We're entering a time now where we're really going to start to see gold and silver breaking out from being controlled, and use cases are going to change. I think that just going back to what Ian is saying here, I mentioned it earlier, we can transact between ourselves with no intermediary. All right. And so that's what I think Ian meant by unbanked. There's no bank in the middle. And this is, I think, one of the reasons why the banks are so concerned about digital technology, because it cuts them out. And once you transfer assets out of the banking system into the LOD wallet, for instance, as a crypto wallet or a digital wallet, now it's peer to peer. So that part there. Now going back to gold is real money because it can settle in any currency, and so that's the beauty about gold. And yes, you want to use it as protection, as an insurance policy, as a hedge. And same thing with silver. Silver's got technical use cases that are probably a strong suit, but it was always real money. And same with gold. So I'll just leave it at that because I'm sure that there's others that have other thoughts around that. But you want to be holding gold and silver.
I'm still younger,
Especially
so
digital.
my goal is to make as much money in a short period of time since I'm still young. So I haven't really thought about like passing along assets yet. But it is easy to pass on like your ledger or your wallets to the people you love without even going through a will. But a will just makes it more legal and better for tax purposes.
Tommy, before Christmas, I opened up an account for my granddaughter, who's about 1.5 years now. And we're going to buy her, instead of buying her, gifts that are consumables, we'll buy her 1 or 2 gifts, and we'll buy her some gold and silver. And by the time she's 20, 21, I don't know how much that's going to be worth, but it'll be worth a lot more than it is today. And maybe she'll be able to buy a house or a down payment for a house with the gold and silver I'm going to buy her every year until we pass away. So that's the way we're thinking.
Do you have any numbers on like gold versus real estate values for if gold's going
I
up
don't
against
have
real
them
estate?
off the top of my head, but we can certainly work on that. That's a good question. We can do that in the next meeting. What countries do you want to see?
America.
America?
Yeah, but also El Salvador, because El Salvador, from my understanding, their property value is skyrocketing right now.
Yeah.
They got all the Bitcoin people moving to El Salvador.
Yeah. Okay. I'll do gold and silver analysis versus real estate in the US, Canada, and El Salvador.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Tommy, I've got to sign off as well. It was fun today. Thanks for inviting us. I'll leave you with the guys if you have some final questions for wrap up, but see ya on the next one. Thank you.
I got one too.
You guys want to just wrap this up right now?
Yeah, let's do
I
it.
would just say buy real estate that's in opportunity zones because it'll provide a lot of tax benefits. You'd be able to buy it extremely cheap. And then if you actually develop it or just hold on to it for 10, 15 years and then sell it to a developer, there's huge gains in doing that. And I'm saying that from experience because I did that in New York City 20 years ago.
Yeah, they have a lot of programs right now, really cheap tax properties. But if you live there and build there, saves you a lot of money.
Yeah, the opportunity zones provide a lot of tax benefits. And then one of the things that we'll be working on at LOD is fractionalizing real estate, tokenizing it, fractionalizing it. There's some people that are doing that in St. Pete already, where they're buying distressed properties and they're tokenizing it, fractionalizing it, making it available for rent on a weekly basis, monthly basis, and you can pay your rent with crypto. But basically, it's low prices because of the way they bought it and how they bought it, and the fact that it's fractionalized, where the people that are owning tokens, real estate-backed tokens, they get distributions from the rental income.
Sounds good. Hopefully the rental doesn't
And
have
Tommy-
those Airbnb cleaning fees.
Mm-hmm.
And Tommy, just one last point, then I got to go too. Once we get gold and silver running profitably with millions of users, we'll be looking at other commodities to add to the system, as Bruce mentioned, but we'll also look at copper and some of the rare earth precious metals, and anything else that has big trading volume in the commodities category. So gold and silver is the start of what our plans are.
Yeah, and the whole infrastructure and the fact of everything is being developed in the smart contracts, it's applicable to anything. It could be
Yeah.
artwork, could be masters like Picasso and things like that, where that becomes fractionalized ownership. And then also one of the companies that we've been talking to are putting flotels in marinas, which is a floating hotel room that can then be paid for with crypto. And that's also fractional ownership, where 55% of the rental income goes to the token holders.
Pretty interesting concept. Well, thank you guys for sharing with me today. I hope you have a good evening.
Thank you, Tommy.
Thanks, Tommy.
Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Tom.
Thanks for the invite. Bye-bye.
Have a good
Bye.
day. All right, the boomers are gone. Yeah, I had the red block up there for Bitcoin. You guys saw the other chart as well for BNB, Solana, Cardano, Litecoin. We have this new layout up here that I'm trying so we can filter between charts. But overall, if Bitcoin does come down quite hard, I think you guys should definitely start researching other things to put your money into to protect it. Because obviously the fiat's going to be worth less money when you go to the grocery store or pay your bills. Unless you have like locked in contracts like rental agreements. And just looking at these charts here, even like these networks are coming down in value. XRP is definitely coming down short term. But yeah, that's a very good meeting with some boomers. Hopefully I get more boomers, more guest speakers on the stream to share some of their insights. Anybody on YouTube have any question about these charts? Let me know. I'm gonna also be connecting onto the Discord. Which chart does the Discord want to see? Probably the Bitcoin and XRP, Dogecoin, Ethereum chart. And then yesterday I was filtering between these charts and OBS crashed. But yeah, here it is. Those red blocks. My last Bitcoin short, that last trade I did was over 900%. I haven't done another trade really since that on futures where I share the entry and take the profits, show off your profits. But when I do, I will be able to update that number as well. Looking over here, just want to say that that conversation was very knowledgeable. Helped us learn a little bit more. And yeah, there are more people out there, definitely boomers that understand XRP and know that XRP does have that potential long term. Something big could happen for XRP, but from technical levels, I do think that we have a lot more room to come down. Looking at Bitcoin versus the networks. These networks, BNB, Solana, Cardano, Litecoin, they have been outperforming Bitcoin, Doge, Ethereum. But then XRP has also been performing very well. I don't know about the targets to re-enter, Alfred. I would say that liquidations go back down to like $2.16 though. $2.16 for some of those liquidations is a very strong number to consider. Yeah, if you look at those liquidations down below, I know that we have plenty of room. I'll show you on the charts though. So this is the Litecoin chart. Look at Litecoin down here, above 126. Oh no. Ooh. All right, we'll go SRP first. So SRP on the 5-minute has liquidations under 290, but on the 4-hour that was under $216. Look at Dogecoin on the 5-minute liquidation is back to 35 cents. Yesterday when we had those red blots for Doge, we did drop down a little bit over 2%. Bitcoin had the clearest drop yesterday though. So Bitcoin having the clearest drop and then some of the altcoins not dropping as much shows that Bitcoin is losing money. Bitcoin had over a 2% drop yesterday. But currently those liquidations will go back under 94,000 if we go down and start looking. And this is just on the 5-minute chart, I want to remind you guys. But yeah, I'm going to keep these charts up for you guys to watch. Keep an eye out on. And from here, just want to let you know, we might keep this 8-chart layout where we filter through the charts. Might add 4 more charts so we have up to 12. And then 4 more after that for a total of 16 charts. I have to filter it like this since you guys only have the regular monitor layouts. YouTube doesn't really support ultra wide that well because if you play it back on a non-ultra wide it doesn't look good. So we'll keep it like this heading into the future. Hopefully you guys learned a little bit of something from that stream though. If you guys have any questions, next time I encourage you, write your questions in the chat because I was able to ask your questions down there that you guys posted in the chat. Well, I'm going to leave this chart on the screen for you guys, and then I'll jump back on in a little bit. Give you guys an update on these charts, on the patterns, and where I think the markets are going. But short term, we do have a new president coming into office. So it will be very volatile. There are going to be some new things coming. But from a technical level, this is the technical aspect of the charts. I think we pumped up significantly. Litecoin had some SEC news. That's the recent pump. But yesterday as well, Litecoin, let's see over here. Litecoin is in an interesting spot. Litecoin double bottoms would be like 115. So yeah, enjoy the charts. I'll come back in here a little bit later